Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to turn curiosity into, well, hopefully some fascinating insights. Today, we're embarking on quite an incredible journey, actually, into the world of a true global icon, someone who burst onto the music scene way back in 1987 and, let's be honest, has captivated us ever since, Kylie Minogue.
That's right. And we've got a really rich collection of source material here, covering, over 2 decades of her career? More, really. Our mission today isn't just to list her achievements, the chart hits, the awards, the fashion, the philanthropy, all of that. It's really about unpacking how. How did she manage to constantly reinvent herself time and time again while still keeping this really authentic and genuinely beloved personal brand?
Exactly. We'll dig into some surprising facts, those strategic pivots she made, and maybe those aha moments that you see define her legacy, from being the girl next door back in the day to selling, over 70 million records worldwide, multiple Brit Awards, even a Grammy. Quite a story. So yeah, let's unpack this. The girl next door, Australian beginnings and unexpected startup. Okay, so our journey starts in Melbourne, Australia, May 28th, 1968. Kylie Ann Minogue, oldest of 3 kids. Her dad, Ronald, an accountant, Irish background. Her mom, Carol Ann, a former dancer from Wales. And of course, her younger sister, Dannii Minogue, also became a pretty successful pop star in her own right.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how early both Kylie and Dannii were sort of drawn to the spotlight. They both had these aspirations, singing, acting from quite young. Kylie actually started TV appearances when she was just 11. Little roles in soaps like Skyways, The Sullivans, a lead role in The Henderson Kids too.
Yeah.
But what people often forget or maybe don't realize is that for a while she was kind of in the shadow of Dannii. Dannii was a regular performer on this popular weekly music show, Young Talent Time.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, and I think that dynamic, maybe subtly fueled Kylie's own drive to carve out her own path, to find her own space.
And then comes the moment where things really change direction for her. Getting cast as Charlene Mitchell in Neighbors, 1986. Schoolgirl turned garage mechanic. That role just changed everything. It catapulted her to stratospheric fame. First in Australia, obviously, but then crucially in the UK. The show became this absolute phenomenon over there. And she was instantly seen as the girl next door. Approachable, friendly, just really charming.
Oh, the show was massive. Absolutely huge. Her character, Charlene, and that whole on-screen romance with Scott, played by Jason Donovan.
Iconic.
Totally iconic. Their wedding episode in 87, it pulled in something like 20 million viewers in the UK.
20 million.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't see figures like that on UK TV anymore. It's incredible. That whole period, the Scott and Charlene era, people look back on it as the glory days of Neighbors. And a lot of that was down to Kylie's appeal. That wholesome thing really connected.
And the fact that she and Jason Donovan were dating in real life just added fuel to the fire, didn't it?
Oh, completely. Blurred the lines, fed the tabloids, cemented that clean-cut image, for a while anyway, too. The pop princess is born, stock Aiton Waterman, and global fame.
So it was actually during a charity concert, wasn't it, with the Neighbors cast?
Yeah.
Kylie performs the Locomotion as an encore. She'd sung I Got You Babe with John Waters earlier. And this seemingly off-the-cuff performance.
Yeah.
It leads directly to a recording contract with Mushroom Records in 87. Talk about right place, right time.
Exactly. It wasn't even planned as an audition or anything, just for fun.
Yeah.
But the crowd reaction was apparently immense, electric. And literally the next day, she signed the record deal. The Locomotion goes on to be this massive #1, the highest selling single of the entire decade in Australia.
Oh.
And if you look at the video for Locomotion, I mean, it's pure 80s, right? Perms, bright colors.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also incredibly innocent, sweet, really. Even when she's shaking her hips, the camera's mostly on her face. It really set that early bubblegum video image. No hint of anything provocative yet. That definitely came later.
Right. And then enter the British music producer, Stock Aiton Waterman. S.
The Hit Factory.
They were impressed, saw this huge potential for her to be a global pop star. And that's when the string of hits really took off, starting with I Should Be So Lucky from her debut album, Kylie.
And the story behind that song is pretty amazing, too. Almost unbelievable. Kylie flies over to the UK for this meeting with Essa, right? A really important meeting for her career.
Yeah.
And they'd completely forgotten she was coming.
You're kidding.
No. So while she's literally kept waiting outside the studio,
oh my God,
they quickly knocked together I Should Be So Lucky. So when she finally gets in, they're like, right, we've got your first song sorted. And apparently a music distributor later said they initially struggled to get radio to play it. Can you imagine?
Crazy.
But then it just exploded. Huge #1. Changed everything overnight. And the video, again, so simple by today's standards, her in a bathtub with bubbles.
Iconic, though.
Totally iconic. Cemented that innocent persona. But what's interesting is years later, after she kind of distanced herself from that early Saw W sound, on her Kiss Me Once tour, she actually revisited it, playfully recreated that bath scene on stage. Fans loved it. Like, she was embracing those, slightly cheesy pop beginnings.
Well, the Kylie album itself did incredibly well. Spent over a year on the UK album charts, went gold in the US even. Her fame was definitely going global. She had 3 consecutive #1s in Australia too, including Got to Be Certain. And this success basically led her to make that big decision. Leave Neighbors in late '88, focus purely on the music.
Right. And she also did that duet with Jason Donovan, Especially for You. Huge #1 in the UK, sold almost 1 million copies. Really capitalized on that Neighbors connection. Her second album, Enjoy Yourself in '89, that did well too. Europe, New Zealand, Asia, Australia. Spawned more #1s like Hand on Your Heart and Tears on My Pillow. But significantly, didn't really sell well in North America. And that led to her being dropped by Geffen Records, her US label, which was maybe an early sign. That maybe that super sweet girl next door image wasn't going to work everywhere. It kind of pushed her towards needing to evolve, to reinvent. 3. The seeds of rebellion, breaking free from the puppet.
So after Enjoy Yourself, she actually went back to acting for a bit, didn't she? Started in that film The Delinquents in '89.
She did. Critics weren't kind, apparently, but audiences loved it, especially in the UK and Australia. It sort of proved she had star power beyond just the music chart.
But then came album #3, Rhythm of Love, in 1990. And this is where we see the first real signs of rebellion, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. A clear shift. She's moving away from that very clean-cut Saw image. She's in her early 20s now, wants to be a bit more adventurous, wants to mature her image. The outfits got shorter. There were hot pants.
Right.
And the video for Better the Devil, it was noticeably edgier. Flashing midriff, playing up a more sensual side. It wasn't just clothes. It felt like a statement about take control.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the look, was it? She really started taking control of the music videos themselves, starting with that one. Presenting herself as, well, a sexually aware adult.
Absolutely. And you can't really talk about this period without mentioning her relationship with Michael Hutchence.
From INXS.
Yeah. Who she later said was arguably the love of her life. He had this incredibly charismatic, sex on a stick kind of image. And her being associated with him completely changed how the public saw her. She wasn't just Scott's Charlene anymore. She was with this rock god. It was a massive perception shift.
Right. A world away from Jason Donovan.
Exactly. Now, Rhythm of Love still sold well in Europe and Australia, but her next album, #4, Let's Get To It, in '91, that was actually her first album to miss the UK top 10. So maybe pushing those boundaries was starting to, alienate some of that original fan base.
And that album really seems to capture her growing unhappiness with the whole Saw machine, doesn't it? She said later she felt like a puppet, being pulled by them. And that this project just didn't have the same joy and excitement.
You can feel it. She was contractually obligated to make it, but you sense she already knew she wanted out. It was a decisive moment. She chose not to renew her contract with Zellrath.
Which must have been a huge decision, given the success they'd brought her.
Massive. A real leap of faith. But it showed her determination to, as she put it, paint outside that line, to experiment, to take control. And that decision directly led to her signing with Deconstruction Records, a whole new chapter for experimentation and The Impossible Princess.
So mid-90s, new deal with Deconstruction Records. This was really hyped as a new phase for her, right? More experimental. Her 5th album, self-titled Kylie Minogue in '94, it did well in Europe and Australia. Confide in Me was the lead single, spent 4 weeks at #1 in Australia.
Yeah, this whole era definitely saw her getting more media attention, moving beyond just pop. She even did that movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Critically panned, of course, but it actually made decent money, like $70 million in the US. And then by '97, her relationship with the French photographer Stéphane Sednaoui becomes a really big influence. He encouraged her creativity, her interest in Japanese art and culture, pushed her further into exploring different things.
And that mutual interest, that appreciation for Japanese aesthetic, that's what inspired the whole visual concept for her 6th album.
Yeah.
The geisha meets manga superheroine look for the album originally called Impossible Princess.
Exactly. And that album, Impossible Princess, it represents a really significant departure, a big swing. She was consciously trying to be edgier, take more artistic risks, shake off those early pop perceptions for good. Sednaoui was heavily involved, directed the video for German Bold Italic. That's the one where she's dressed as a geisha in Times Square.
Right, I remember that video. It's different.
It was visually striking, yeah. And she was trying to say something maybe about female identity, female roles. But yeah, it divided people. Some found it a bit opaque, maybe, or just not the Kylie they expected or wanted. And interestingly, the album title itself, Impossible Princess, got changed to just Kylie Minogue in the UK after Princess Diana died. It was felt the original title might be controversial at that sensitive time.
Right. And while the album did really well in Australia, spent something like 35 weeks on the chart there, where it seemed Kylie could do no wrong.
Pretty much.
It wasn't quite embraced in the same way globally, was it? It felt like maybe people, especially outside Australia, kind of wanted their perfect princess put back in her box, as someone put it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It was a challenging time for her global acceptance. But she addressed that head on, didn't she, in the video for Did It Again?
Oh, right, with the different Kylies fighting.
Exactly. You had cute Kylie, indie Kylie, sexy Kylie, all literally pushing each other around. It was so clever and self-aware. She was making a very clear point. All these sides of me exist together. Don't try and put me in one little box. I'm complex. It was her artistic declaration. The unstoppable comeback. From Light Years to Fever and beyond.
Okay, so fast forward to 2000. She signs with Parlophone Records, and they seem to have a really clear vision for her.
Mm-hmm. Bring back the pop.
Exactly. Reestablish her as the undeniable pop artist they felt she, fundamentally was. And her seventh album, Light Years, comes out in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
It's this brilliant collection of dance songs, lots of disco influence, gets great reviews, huge success across Australia, Asia, Europe, New Zealand, and the lead single, Spinning Around. Her first UK #1 in 10 years. It just screams comeback.
Oh, it was such a fantastic moment. Euphoric, really, for her, for the fans. A massive turning point. And that video, Spinning Around, super confident, really sensual Kylie. Those gold hot pants became instantly iconic.
They really did.
Showing off her body from every angle, writhing on a bar, looking absolutely phenomenal, especially for someone in their early 30s at that point. But what's so fascinating and so Kylie is that even with that overt sensuality, there's still this kind of innocence, this sweetness about her. It just works. It was definitely her sexiest video up to that point, and it didn't just relaunch her career, it transformed her into this international sensation again. Opened doors in the US. It was a smash hit that just perfectly blended that early, joyful pop Kylie with this mature, sexy, completely magnetic vibe.
And after that huge comeback, she performs at the Sydney Olympics closing ceremony in 2000, Dancing Queen, on a night like this, cementing her status as, Australia's sweetheart.
National treasure moment.
Then she goes on this sold-out tour, mixing burlesque, theater, even Fred Astaire influence.
So the big question then was, okay, how do you follow that? How do you keep the momentum going after such a perfect comeback? And the answer was album number 8, Fever, 2001.
Wow, Fever.
Just colossal. #1 in Australia, the UK, all over Europe. Sold over 8 million copies worldwide. And the lead single, Can't Get You Out of My Head.
Absolute monster hit.
Biggest success of her entire career. #1 in over 40 countries. Sold over 5 million copies. It wasn't just a song. It was everywhere. A genuine cultural phenomenon.
And you're right. Fever was the album that really cemented her status as a gay icon too, wasn't it? Played constantly in clubs. I remember reading even David Beckham said the video was his favorite.
That video was iconic. Before Kim Kardashian or Nicki Minaj made headlines for it, Kylie's bottom was a subject of global admiration thanks to that video.
True.
The whole video felt futuristic, high production values, those spacey costumes, that white hooded outfit where her silhouette is almost exposed. So striking.
Yeah, very memorable.
And that song, Can't Get You Out of My Head, that's what really broke her properly in North America again, cemented her right at the top tier of pop. And it was around Fever that people really started calling her the pop princess, often contrasting her with Madonna, the queen of pop.
Right, that comparison always comes up.
And the difference, I think, always felt like Kylie just seemed so happy, so joyful, like she was genuinely having fun. And that resonated really deeply, especially with her gay fan base, who just embraced that celebratory energy.
And the success kept coming. Grammy nomination in 2003 for Love at First Sight.
Mm-hmm.
And then she won Best Dance Recording for Come Into My World in 2004.
Huge moment for her.
Her 9th album, Body Language, in 2003, maybe didn't sell quite as much as Fever, but the first single, Slow, that was still a #1 hit in the UK and Australia. Got another Grammy nomination, too. 6, Resilience and Triumph, the battle with breast cancer. But then, in March 2005, just as she's on her Showgirl, the greatest hits tour in Europe, she gets this shocking news back in Melbourne, a breast cancer diagnosis. Had to cancel the tour immediately, obviously.
Yeah, it was a real shock. I mean, she was young, healthy, at the absolute peak of her career again, just completely unexpected. She had treatment in Australia, then chemotherapy over in Paris. But what really comes through in all the accounts from that time is her determination right from the start, not just to beat it, but to get back on stage. William Baker, who worked with her for years, he said something interesting, that while some people recover by resting, Kylie was the type who recovered recovered better by performing, that she drew energy from the fans' love.
That makes sense.
Yeah, performing had been like second nature to her since she was 11, right? So the idea of a long break must have been incredibly difficult.
And by early 2006, the reports were positive, her health was improving, and she did it. She resumed the Showgirl tour in November 2006, starting in Sydney.
Incredible.
They had to rework the dance routines, of course, slower costume changes, longer breaks built in, just to conserve her strength.
But the reviews were amazing. Media described her as incredibly energetic, resilient. The Sydney Morning Herald called the show nothing less than a triumph. And she handled the whole thing with such dignity, you know. Her being so public about it, it had this massive impact. It genuinely encouraged younger women to get checked, raised so much awareness, supported cancer charities.
Yeah.
It really added another layer to her image. Not just a pop star, but the symbol of strength and resilience. 7. Continued evolution. Albums, relationships, and new ventures.
So moving into late 2007, she releases her 10th studio album, X, an electro-pop record, really positioned as her big comeback album after the illness. Went straight to #1 in Australia.
Yeah, and X got some interesting reviews. Some critics and even some fans were maybe a bit surprised or even critical that it didn't really address the cancer battle lyrically. It was pretty much pure pop.
Right. People expected maybe something deeper, more reflective after what she'd been through.
Possibly. But then again, if you think about Kylie's core thing, bringing joy, making people dance, maybe she just didn't want to dwell on that difficult time in her music. That's her way of coping, perhaps.
Fair point.
It did well in Australia, like you said, but the reaction in the UK and US was a bit more lukewarm, maybe, compared to Fever anyway.
But even if the album reception was mixed, the tour that followed, Kylie X 2008, that was a monster success, wasn't it?
Oh, huge. Her most expensive tour ever at that point, apparently $10 million in production costs, grossed around $70 million worldwide, hit 21 countries. Her power as a live performer was absolutely undeniable. And it was around this time, wasn't it, that she started dating the Spanish model Andres Velencoso.
That's right. That relationship lasted quite a while, until 2013.
Yeah, they seemed really happy together for a long time. Not many rumors of trouble or anything. But their split, when it came, wasn't a total shock to people following closely. They hadn't been seen together much for a while before the announcement. It kind of highlighted that classic challenge, didn't it? Two people with really demanding global careers, just struggling to find the time to actually be in the same place. It's tough.
Yeah, a very relatable problem, even for superstars. Okay, album number 11, Aphrodite, comes out in 2010. This one got really positive reviews, debuted at #1 in the UK again, and the lead single, All the Lovers, became her 33rd UK top 10 hit. Incredible consistency.
And the video for All the Lovers. Very sensual, very striking, these sort of piles of bodies, almost like an outdoor orgy.
Yeah.
But somehow only Kylie could make that look wholesome and joyous. It really did cement that image of her as this very modern, confident Aphrodite figure, a definite return to that euphoric pop she does so well.
Then 2012 was K25, right? Celebrating 25 years in music. She did that anti-tour, playing B-sides and demos, which must have been amazing for the hardcore fans.
Oh yeah, real treat.
And performed at huge events, like the Queen's Diamond Jubilee concert.
Which brings us back to that question, how does she stay so relevant? In an industry that's constantly changing, constantly looking for the next new thing, I think Kylie just gets it. She understands stars have to keep moving, keep evolving. She famously said something like, you know, like a shark, if it stops, it dies.
Right.
She's even credited Madonna sometimes, hasn't she, for showing the importance of taking risks, always changing. And then in 2013, another big shift. Parts ways with Harry Blamey, her manager for years and years.
Wow, that was huge.
Yeah. And signs with Jay-Z's Rock Nation, which led to collaborations with people like Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
Not your typical Kylie pairing, maybe, but again, her showing, I can do anything. I can work with anyone.
And late 2013, she also takes on that coaching role on The Voice UK, then later The Voice Australia.
Yeah, that was an interesting move, wasn't it, for such a global star to do a reality TV judging panel? But she was great at it, showed this really warm, empathetic personality. She replaced Jessie J on the UK version, and the viewing figures jumped by like 2 million. People really responded well to her.
She seemed genuinely invested.
She did, but smartly. She only did 1 season of each, I think. Didn't stick around too long. Avoided getting typecast as just that judge from The Voice. Smart move.
Her 12th album, Kiss Me Once, came out in 2014.
Yeah.
Hit #1 in Australia and #2 in the UK. And one of the singles was that Pharrell collaboration, I Was Going to Cancel.
Right. And the video for that one was, well, it was another experiment, wasn't it? Kind of strange. Kylie directing pedestrian traffic, trying to make something artistic out of mundane, everyday behavior. It was definitely her pushing the envelope again, trying new things, a collaboration that, yeah, probably divided opinions a bit, but it showed she was still exploring, still not content to just repeat the past. Outro.
When you look back, Kylie Minogue's career is just
Yeah.
Well, it's truly remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Propelling herself right to the top, countless #1 hits, album, and constantly reinventing herself. Yet somehow she always feels like Kylie.
Absolutely. And her legacy, I think, maybe it's that you don't have to be deadly serious all the time for your art to matter, for it to be profound even.
Yeah.
Art can be fun, it can be pleasant, interesting, yes, provocative sometimes, but also just profoundly happy. And despite all the changes, the different phases, fundamentally she seems like a happy person who smiles, who brings joy, and she's never shied away from that.
Yeah.
You know, people always make the Madonna comparison, Queen of Pop, Princess of Pop,
Okay.
but Kylie's earned that princess title, I think, through that unique mix of just perfect pop music and this unwavering optimistic spirit.
So what does this journey mean for you?
Well, Kylie's always shown this incredible desire, this resilience to overcome whatever obstacles life throws at her. She's still pushing boundaries, especially with her live shows. And she's talked recently about family life, but also about wanting to make new music. So we're all kind of sitting here waiting to see what her next phase will bring.
Which maybe leaves you with this thought to consider. In a world and industry where artists are often kind of expected to bear their deepest traumas, to dwell on the struggle, what's the power in choosing consistently to deliver joy, to make people dance, especially after facing something as huge as breast cancer? Is choosing joy, choosing celebration, is that not in itself a really profound, maybe even courageous artistic statement? She is undoubtedly Australia's Queen of Pop. And honestly, it feels like she's still got so much more life and music left in her.